Before I start this video, I want to show you the bonsai we'll be selling online. Please visit our bonsaiheirloom.com site. The quantities will be very limited, and we will ship you as the orders come in and as we release them. So in a sense, get in line, the first come, first serve. I hope you'll buy our tree because you can enjoy and pass on as an heirloom or as a gift. So please do visit our website. And if you do get our, I hope you can get our bonsai because it's very limited, and then I get to enjoy it. Thank you very much. Hi, I'm miltonchang of Bonsai Heirloom. Today I will go over these two Trident Maples. I will tell you a little bit about the history of each tree and then how they got here because you want to learn how to turn a little bonsai tree into a nice old bonsai. And then I also focus on this segment on ramification, how to increase ramification quickly. And in fact, I'll be critical myself and do a little bit of modification of what I normally do. So this tree I planted maybe in the ground for about 25 years. I would say this one is, 25 years. One of the original one that I collected as a seed from an arboretum, and then I planted it, and I put it in the ground because I was busy with my business, and the tree grew very rapidly. And then what I did is I cut off this main branch and let this one grow, and then cut off. You can see a lot of drastic cuts, but that reduces the taper nicely. This is I would say by most standards, it's incredible taper. When you start from a seedling and you work on it as you go, you can control the shape very much to your liking. So in this tree, I will show you almost at every angle can be a front. Like this is the front right now, but you can see this can be a front, and the back side can be a front. And this side can be not so much of a front, but still looks nice on the side. And that's what you want to try to accomplish, is to make the tree look nice. So what I did is along the way, I put it in a pot about 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, and start to work on the branching. And one of the things is that you first always work on the roots, and you can see the roots is really spread out like grasping the earth, because I cut off the redundant one. So for example, this root, you can see it's crossing the bottom root, which is really beautiful. So what you do is you cut it off. Don't be afraid. There's plenty of root to feed the tree. And now you see when this matures, in a sense, in a little while, you will not have these problems because the crossover one may become really thick. And then you say, how did this happen? You know, it doesn't look right. It rarely happens in nature. I can't quite reach it, so I'll use this clipper. So you just go around and make sure this kind of a problem is eliminated. So in time, you will not have that problem. You know, I remember, I think it might have been John Tucker says, life is full of thorns in a sense of problems, but once you remove the thorns, everything is wonderful again. So remove what you don't like. That's not right. Do it right once for all. Then you're very happy that you've done it right, and everything will come out nice. So this is what I do each time when I work on a tree. Now let me get back to my main subject today, which is ramification. Now what I normally do is that I will clip off anything redundant, just click, 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 click. And I think that's fine. But on the other hand, I can argue with myself to improve is to do some clipping and wiring at the same time. So using this branch as an example, what I would normally do is I say, well, you know, let me bend this a little bit so I don't break it, but I will clip it here, so this branch will go this way, that branch will go that way. Well, it will take, I can speed it up by 3 months or so by using wiring. I'm not opposed to wiring. You just gotta wire them sparingly and then remove them quickly. That's all. And so the idea of a ramification is to have the tree look thick quicker, look like a lot of branching quicker, because the branching makes you feel the tree is healthy and it's aged, because you can only branch so many times each year. So one of the methods to increase ramification is in fact wiring. So let me summarize. To increase ramification, one is by wiring to speed up the ramification. The second is you want to do defoliating by removing during the summer months when there's full of leaves, you really couldn't see where you're going. So you just pull the leaves off until they're all bare. Maybe not all removed fully, but partially removed so you can see where you're going. And that actually encourages the bud to bud out quicker. And that increases ramification maybe one more time a year. Again, it's a technique that you don't need to follow, but it does speed up a little bit. It helps a little bit. But so don't make a big deal about all these rules. Even if you don't follow the rules, that's okay. Maybe it takes a little longer or maybe more convoluted way to get there. And then the third is to water a lot and fertilize so that it will grow a lot. And the more branching it gives, the more you clip it, the more it will branch out to give you more ramification. So that's all about ramification. And then the trade-off is that you may want the branch to grow longer like this in the summer or in the spring, and this can become softwood cutting. And you take a softwood cutting in the spring, let's say this long. Softwood, in a sense, leaves just emerge and a branch just grew. You put it in, you got 2 plants. So bonsai is really fun. You can do all kinds of creative things to make it look nice. So I have a wire here. I have a branch that's going down this way. That's not quite right. I could cut it here, and then this branch will come out to fill this hole. But that would delay me by about 3 months. So instead, I use wiring. So why not? It's part of my repertoire. Now I have a branch coming back this way to fill this hole. And I would say, well, I really like to introduce a little bit of curve to make it a little more interesting. Well, if I'm skillful, I make it look natural, but otherwise I look contrived. But let's see what happens, because what you can do is that you can combine what you do now, and that the next time you follow the branch, then you really kind of have a natural look. And the same thing you can do for this branch. You can encourage to grow this way simply by clipping here. You don't need to wire, it's long enough. And then this, you can clip it here. And so this will fill out this, and then this one will come out this way. And then you can, again, cut it here to make this branch out. And you can do a little bit of that to fill that hole quicker. So I would like to show you one thing about Trident Maple. If you look at this, you can see the buds are growing on both sides of the branch. So if you cut off one side, then there's no branch going that way anymore. There should be a branch going this way. And if you cut it here, you have a branch coming out this way and a branch out going that way. And if you want the tree to grow that way and go, then you just cut off longer here and cut off shorter here, and it will start to fill out here. So you have a branch coming out and a branch to fill this little hole. So that's a technique you can pay attention to, clip which side to encourage the growth, to increase the speed of the ramification a little bit quicker. And try not to cut both sides the same length, because asymmetry is usually more attractive from a aesthetic point of view. It's just human nature because you're accustomed to something, to things that are not 100% symmetrical all the time. So you just go around and clip and wire if you have to. Like this one, like I said, it comes out this way and that way. And I want this one to grow longer, so I let it go. But I want this side to be a little shorter because you don't want to bump into that side. So I cut it closer. So that's the process. You increase the ramification in the right way. And we can argue whether I should cut off here, let this branch come out here and doesn't go up. Or I can say, well, let it grow up because trees tend to seek light. And I want more to go backwards here. But I don't want it to go out that much on that side. So I cut up less. So it would be more long this way and then more flat that way to create a pad. Now, generally you want to work on the apex first, but in this case, you see, there's a real tendency when I look at this branch, I really hate to cut it off. Seem like, you know, it's very healthy and it's got a lot of growth. But if you really think about it, this is quite long and that's shorter, and that became the apex right here someplace. You really don't want this to be kind of a long stick going up. So in fact, I will argue the way to do it, like if you look closely, there are two butts on this side, right? So if I cut it off, it will very quickly emerge in the spring. So what I would do is I'd rather shorten the apex so that the apex doesn't get out of hand taller and taller because you're afraid or you hate to cut off the beautiful branch. Now you see, this will heal over nicely. This branch will shoot out, this branch will shoot out. And the likelihood is I can make this the apex someday. When this branch goes up, this comes up, I cut that off and I will have a really short squatty tree instead of growing a couple inches every time I create a new apex. So, and this will be another good example of wiring. Like this, what I would normally do using the pure clip and grow method, but there's no need to be purist. Everything's in your repertoire, use it. Is that instead of this way, I can bend this out by wiring, and that fills out this hole a lot quicker. I would say I probably don't need a branch going that far back, so I'll cut it off here. And so I will wire it to increase that ramification quicker. And usually you cut a little bit long, waste a little bit, so you don't run out by accident and you say, oh shucks, I have to do it over again. So I'm going from the bottom quite a bit more than I necessary, but you know, I don't want to waste time rewiring it if I find myself a little short of the wire. You see, now this branch will fill out this hole a lot faster instead of being up here, and I cut it down here, the new branches will come out to fill it. But now this is already here, this will come out quickly, this will come out quickly to fill out the hole. And I don't need to worry about too much after that's done. I can pull it down a bit if necessary, but this will be the side branch to fill out this hole. And then I pull this one down a bit at a time until it's filling the hole below. See, so you can do that fairly quickly, but these are brittle branches. You have to be a little careful not to overdo it. And then maybe a week or two later, I come pull down it again a little bit. And the same thing, I can pull down that little bit. No great hurry because, yeah, why don't I do that just to get it done. So cut a bit longer because you can always reuse the wire. You may find it more useful when it's a little bit longer. So I'm just anchoring to the bottom and gradually pull this branch down. You have to be careful not to break it. which sometimes I do. Not, I'm not such a infallible person. So if it breaks, well, that's life. Start over again. You can imagine the idea is that you want the trunk to droop. It's like it's due to heavy snow or something due to its age. Now you can see this tree is beginning to form that shape. Again, I think this one, I can speed up the process by pulling this one down. So I just keep going until I got them all done. I don't need to bore you with this. And what I would do is that I would show you this tree, I would say in 3 months, 6 months for sure, and you will see how full of the foliage it is, and every branch, every leaf, every branch is in the right place. I forgot to mention, this is actually, like I said, very unusually short, squatty tree, very good tapering. So I named it Sumo, like a sumo wrestler. And I put it right next to a tall Trident maple, and I call it Bruce Lee meets sumo. And I think that's getting a little corny, so I took the two trees apart, and Bruce Lee is looking fine by itself, and the sumo would look nice by itself. So let me do a few cursory clipping, not the detail like I just did, and then go from there to make the tree look halfway decent. So that's a tree. That would be the apex. When that comes up, this would be a lower branch. So let me work on the second Trident maple. I bought this maple at the same time as I bought Century from a bonsai nursery. The reason why I bought it is that I can see this tree has been worked on for probably at least 10 years, if not 15, 20 years, looking at all the ramification, all that. The point is that ramification make you think the tree is older, which is true. And frankly, I didn't pay much for this tree because smaller trees usually don't fetch that much money. Like this tree has been working on, call it 15 years. And this tree's been working on 15 years as well after I dug it up 10, 12 years. And, growing in the ground doesn't cost me any time or money. But the same 10, 15 years working on a tree, this tree is probably 50 times more valuable than the little guy. And so I snap it up because I just love the ramification. And as a traditional bonsai people, they just love to show off their ability to grow tree in a small pot. So it was in a moderate-sized pot with tremendous amount of ramification, shows a lot of age. But it's so overgrown, by the time when the leaves comes out, it was just a big lump. I can't see anything. So with that in mind, then today what I'll do is I'll show you how drastically I can be to clip off the branches. Now, this particular tree actually to me is incredibly valuable because it's actually a small leaf variety of Trident maple that's rarely found today. So in fact, even the big cuttings I took off, I don't know if they were root at that age. Usually they more younger branches were root. But I'll try to root them. And again, I warn you, by the time when I'm done with it, you will accuse me of being very, very brutal because you cannot imagine I will cut off so much. And yet I promise you in 6 months, when you look at the tree, you'll love it. One of the old bonsai books is basically pointing out you want the tree to be full and yet you want a bird to fly through it. That means you should be able to see the branches. So sometimes you're afraid to cut off or you don't want to cut off because you can see so many air growth into it. But you really have no choice if you want the tree to show its best, not totally covered by branches. So this one has got so much growth that I really don't need to worry about wiring to speed up the ramification. But I'm actually cutting off to make it ramify at the right places. So it's actually reducing to increase the beauty. So like this branch, Looks really nice, but why are we having so many branches coming out? So if I cut it off here, it creates a little bit more asymmetry to make it look nice. And like this branch is nice, I guess I'll leave it, but normally I would have cut it off to show more of a branch at the trunk in the bottom. And you see all these where you can see the goop that he put on to seal the cuts, and they remain ugly. But if he had cut it off and just let it alone, this will heal nicely without the coloration. So I don't advocate healing the wound because the Trident maple heals very nicely because they grow fast, and to make the cut look natural. And in fact, you want to not make the cut very clean, but rather pull it off, break it off and all that. So when it heals, it has a lot more characteristic like in nature. So to each his own, I think that being very meticulously groomed is fine, but that's not my preference. I'd rather make it look natural, rough, and natural. Like this one, the two are kind of like holding out like a hand. So I'd rather cut off, let this one be longer, just make sure that all the other way around. I think I would just cut this off. Hopefully this will grow longer, and I'll cut this off to make it look a little shorter, to create a little bit of asymmetry. And now again, these two branches are very close. I have a choice of either using this one or that one, and I cut off this one. And I would try to root these. So, I haven't done really much, but I clean it up a bit, and to make it more tidy, rather than, it's a little bit like a garden. Your tree hasn't been pruned for 20 years versus that one that you pruned about 5 years ago. It looks just right. It's not too bare, and yet it's starting to fill out. And so that's what you want to do. Like this part, I'm vacillating what to do with it, but I would say I'll probably cut it off here to see what happens next. Hopefully this will grow out fast. Yeah, okay. So that's the tree. And what I will do is the next week, during the weekend, I will put this in a bonsai pot. In fact, look at how nice it is. Well, today I work on these two trees with the emphasis to help beginners on how to increase ramification, speed up the process of creating a bonsai. In this case, I try to use two trees. One is an older tree, one is more realistic for new beginners to have younger trees to work on. And this is my sumu. I had it for about 25 years, one of the original seedlings, so 27 years. And I put it in the ground, I cut it to increase taper, and that's the result I get. Now, given this is the early stage of ramification, I've been working on that, but I did very drastic cuts, which I don't want to do anymore because I want to bring this bonsai closer to show quality with lots of ramification. So I use wiring, a little bit of wiring in addition to clip and grow to speed up the speed of ramification. So you can use wiring combined with clip and grow to speed up the ramification by 3 to 6 months. And you have to increase the ramification by watering and fertilizing a lot. You will never drown a maple or a elm. And then that would increase force growth and give you a lot of cutting opportunity to shape the tree. And then, of course, you want to strip the leaves during the season where there are a lot of leaves. You can see where you're going. You strip it, and that creates buds to increase the budding in the sense that buds to shoot out. I think that's pretty much it in terms of to increase ramification. On the other hand, you don't have to be so drastic for a mature tree. In this tree, someone has been trying to create a lot of ramification over the years. So in fact, what you can do is to increase to open it up to let trees look more natural, where you can see the trunk rather than just a big lump of green. And the early stage, you want to use wiring to speed up, but at a mature tree stage, you really don't need to do that. So I just did the clipping, and I saved some of these branches for cutting, because it's really hard to find these days, the dwarf maples. So with that in mind, then I hope you enjoyed the video. Go to our website to see what we offer to sale. Click like, tell a friend, and subscribe to our channel. Please do so. Thank you very much. I'll see you next week.